Hi guys, Louis here and welcome back to Acorn Hill. It is 8:30 in the morning, about 85 degrees outside, and it's going to be another scorcher here in central North Carolina. So today, I thought I'd take you through a project that I always do this time of the year. I'll be propagating some softwood cuttings from some of our favorite perennials here in the garden. I want to take you through the process of what I do, and hopefully will give you an idea on how to do it, when to do it, and what to do it with. We'll go outside. I'll show you some softwood bushes that I wanted to take cuttings from. So we'll see you soon. Right, so I have the basic equipment that I'll be using today for propagating and preparing the stems of the hydrangea. Obviously we have pruners and we have snippers that we'll use for bigger cuts, smaller cuts. I have a stack of just plastic recycled flower pots where we will put the growing medium for propagating. I also have a garden knife, a little board where I can just use for cutting the materials on. What I have here is perlite. It's a very lightweight porous material. Doesn't have any minerals in it where the growing would be benefit a lot from, but really in propagation all you need is an environment that's moist, an environment that will provide some heft as this hugs the stem of the plant, and in a couple of weeks you will see some roots. If we are successful, the roots will just come out of these holes, and that's a good indication that we can now put the propagated branch into a good growing medium. And that's for a different video that I will show you once we're successful in propagating and rooting up the hydrangea. I'll show you where we will put all of these potted up hydrangea branches. Let me show you what I call that. So once we have all the cutted up hydrangea branches all in those spots, what we'll do is we will water them very well, and we will put them in what I call my propagating box. Now the propagating box is a plastic container for storage, and what I did here was I created holes. 3 holes would be optimum because you want proper ventilation to occur inside the box itself. We don't want to burn them, but this will create good humidity. And this is just my home DIY humidity box that I use for any of the plants that I want to propagate. Now, in the back of our long and big hydrangea hedge along the front of our house, that's the front door. That's where I will be working on that table. And back here I'm sitting on a bench where I could see all the other stray and good branches that we could use for propagating. Now there are certain rules in propagating hydrangea. What I follow is I pick, by the way, take note of the leaves of this hydrangea. It's almost as big as my palm, and the reason for this is the espoma product that I use. I used a lot of the soil acidifier to really cover. There's the root ball of that one of the original hydrangea that we have. They have really helped in allowing our hydrangea to produce massive blooms and even massive foliage. So espoma product, planktone, soil acidifier really does the trick, and I'm very happy with it. Going back to what I wanted to tell you, some rules to keep in mind in propagating hydrangeas and any softwood cuttings. Pick a branch that doesn't have a bloom on it, and when you do so, this is a good opportunity to trim and shape the plant as well. But this is a long piece of branch that would be good for at least 2 propagating branches to form. So what I do is with my secateurs, I count at least 8 nodes. So that would be 1 plant node, 1 set. It's actually the second set because there's the first one. So 1, 2. Now let me do that again from the bottom. You see the first node is right there. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, even down to 6 is when you cut. So let me do that. Now that is the 6th node right there that I'm showing you, and when I cut this, I cut below the node, And it's important that we do that now. But we're going to go ahead and cut this just like this. Just like that. Now I brought the branch that we cut right on my work surface, and you can see how healthy. Again, I can't stress enough our hydrangeas. This is the healthiest they've become. They're very shiny, and the leaves and the foliage are hefty, dark green, with all these deeper indentations on the leaves. A really good indication that the plant is healthy. Now what I do here, like I told you earlier, we counted the nodes. So that's a node right there. That's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. The best way to do this, just to maximize this number of the cuttings from here, is when we plant, we cut below the node. Focus on that real quick. When you cut below the node of the plant, this region right here, that zone, is where all the hormones concentrate. That's why you see all these little growths coming from where the stem of the leaf originates on the stem. I call this the growth node, and that's why it's important for us to know where to cut. I'll probably be able to get 3 out of this one long branch. So I'm gonna cut directly below the node. So that's 1, just like that, just like that. And find another node and cut from the second node down. So I'm gonna cut this right over there, just like that. So what I did actually is I got 3 potential branches that I could propagate from this plant. So there's the first one, here's the bottom one, which is the second one, right? And here's the third one. Okay. I wanted to show you what I do with the cutting that I produced off of that one long branch. Now you see that over here, first off, we did cut right below the node, right below the area where you have all these growth hormones concentrating, and that's where we will rely the roots to form from. What I do here is I cut all these big leaves coming off from that area. I also reduce the number of leaves. Let me remove these leaves. I'll reduce the number of leaves to this last set, the top nodal leaves, and what that does is we are now telling this little leaf, this little branch, to put all their hormones right down here so we can form some roots. Now, one thing of note is, even though these leaves are small, I will still cut them probably by a half. I'll cut one of them by half, and that's just to reduce the risk of what's called in the gardening world as transpiration. And transpiration means it really is evaporation of all the fluid that is still concentrated in this branch, and we don't want that to dry out too much. So that's what I do. I would cut one leaf off. This acts as a solar panel. You know, when it's inside the humidity box, when it gets the light, then still that chlorophyll action is still very much present here on this leaf, and we want to give it some energy in order for that energy to be transformed and form some roots. What I do next, let me set this aside, put that right there. I got just a basic pot, plastic pot. I put all the material inside of it, and all I have to do without even using a rooting hormone, I just stick this all the way to the side of the pot, and we'll water that later because I got 3 more that I need to prepare over here. So what I do, use up all the energy and require a lot of stress to that part of the branch. So what I do, like what I did on the other specimens, I cut the leaf off. Now here, because this is the middle part of that stem, I just cut off and still left with a pair of good solar panels, quote unquote, for this branch to get energy from. Get that out of the way. And this again I stick on the side of the pot. third branch. What I'm going to do here, because we have a big area, a length of stalk, I'm going to cut that, maybe what, 2 millimeters from the actual nodes. I'm going to cut that off, snip it off, and I'll stick this entire thing right here on the side of the pot. Now, why do we stick that? Why do I prefer sticking it on the side of the pot? For some reason, moisture still is retained along the side of a plastic pot, and from my experience, it just maximizes the chance of that root to form. And that's what it looks like. I'm gonna make several of these. I think I can fit what I brought 4 plastic pots, so I'll be able to fit in 3, about 12 little cuttings, and we'll see how that goes. And so after planting them, sticking them in the pot, what I do is you just generously water it. Make sure that moisture penetrate the pot, and let it run through the holes of the pot, and let that environment, that moist environment, stimulate the hormones that are right at the cutting point that we had for the individual branches. I have about 9 here, and I have 2-3 more pots that I need to fill up with cuttings. So just this alone, we can generate several pots of hydrangea for next year. Right. Now I got all my plants, my cuttings ready to go underneath the humidity box, and all it needs right now is another good dose of heavy watering. That way we get material to cut and contact with each pot. We'll place the plastic lid, the big cover. It is an inverted storage box, is what it is. And that will form all the natural humidity that we want for that environment, create that environment of humidity, and give it a good go for roots to develop. I'll give you an update on this in 2 weeks, and we'll see how things are growing. And there it is, nice and neat. I like how a very affordable little box, such as a storage box, could be turned into something useful like this. What I will do is daily I will check on this. It is July here in central North Carolina, so it is hot, but we want to make sure there is water. Either I spray using a spray bottle through the holes, or remove the lid and start spraying them and checking the water level on the pan, basically the inverted cover of the storage box. If there are no drops of water on there, that means it's time for me to water them again, and we'll check on them. Thanks again for joining me with all my gardening projects and DIY. If you like this video, do tell your friends about it. Click on that subscribe button, the like button, and put in your comments if you have some experiences in propagating plants. I would love to hear them, and let's have a conversation online. Thanks again for visiting me here in Acorn Hill. This is Louie, coming from our front yard this time instead of the backyard. We'll see you back in the next video. Bye-bye.